What's going on, Crazy Wheels family? It's Ben. I'm coming back with you with another episode of Getting Crazy with Crazy Wheels. And today we're going to talk about CP Awareness Month and someone that makes content and talks about CP and also has a podcast herself. Her name is Whitney. So right now I'm going to bring her on and let her introduce herself, and we're going to start the conversation.
Hi,
Hey, Whitney,
everyone.
what's going on?
Hey. Hi.
So what would you like to tell the people? Anything about your content and podcast before I start asking you
Yeah.
questions?
Like Ben said, my name is Whitney, and I guess people refer to me as a disability influencer. Um, it's taken years to get that title, but I post a lot on social media, and I host a podcast called Spastic Chatter. It's a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I have an uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with a cerebral disability. And I will correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but I had you on a podcast, and I think I'd like to take some credit for you starting your own podcast, cause
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So, what are some of the positive effects that you've seen creating content, and how do you think it's positively affected the disability community?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Um, the positives are that we're just out there, like I'm just out there as I am, like I'm making a positive impact for people with disabilities. I'm combating stereotypes, showing people that disabled people are just like they are normal people. Like we're not anything quote unquote special. We don't have special abilities. I have the same needs and desires that anybody else does, just like you do, Ben. Like, well, I'm out there showing showing a positive message for disability, and I believe it's making an impact because I get messages on the daily about how I'm uh, motivating people to go out and live their lives. I like to use the word motivate instead of inspire because I can inspire you all day long, but what are you going to do with that inspiration? Like,
I love that.
I'd rather motivate you to like go out and do something.
I love that. So, what was it like the first time you created your content? Like when you created your first video, how did you overcome those feelings of, I don't know if I can do this, like I'm not ready for this? How did you overcome and push through to make that video?
The well, the first, I'm just like I'm gonna post it and see what happens, and like of course, like that's just kind of my mindset, just like oh we'll see what happens, and of course I get a lot of negative feedback, um, but but and I do get burnt out, but um, but I kind of you kind of just have to like push through, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if that answered your question, but
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. So with it being CP Awareness Month, what does it mean to you, and what's the process going through making your content? What do you think about before you make a video? Do you go with a topic first, or you just make the video, or what's the message that you try to bring out every video?
I use life experiences. So if anything's happening in my life, that's what I make content around. As
Yeah,
far as my own social media, I don't like sit out and like plan topics for my post. I use my own life experiences. Um, and as far as like spastic chatter, I research guests and try to find interesting guests. And for CP Awareness Month, I honestly every I don't really I've gotten into the mindset where where every day like March is kind of just like a regular month to me. Like it's not because every I live with CP every day, so I'm bringing awareness to it like on the daily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just saw we were talking earlier. Maybe I saw the video, but you had been standing up because you lost some strength in your legs, but you stood up for a minute at your counter, so you're gaining that strength back. What can you tell somebody if they want to gain their strength back in their legs and their arms? How do you motivate yourself to do that? Now that's kind of off topic, but it goes along with CP and what you're into now. So how are you motivating yourself, and how do you motivate others to do that?
So a little bit of a backstory about me is that from birth to about my senior about high school age, I had to rely on a caregiver to do everything for me. And then when I was a senior in high school, I got a backup pump, and it kind of like changed my world. Where I worked my butt off for about 3 weeks, and I was able to walk across the stage to my high school graduation. And then after that, I, I continued to like work out and stuff. And I went from having to rely on a caregiver to do everything for me to being almost completely independent. And I went off to school by myself and graduated with a bachelor's and a master's degree. And nobody ever thought I would be the Bailey kid that would do that because I have three other siblings. And that's just a little backstory um, because I was so fit back then. And like I said, I posted a like you said, I posted a video about me being able to stand for a, a minute, and I did it again today. Um,
That's awesome.
uh, but the whole the reason I lost muscle is because I moved apartments, and I well I've been going through medicine change, so I haven't been like in the mindset of like of like working out and things. But I also moved apartments, so I'm getting used to a new way of doing things. So a lot of that has to do with doing transfers and stuff through my arms instead of my legs. So that's two of the reasons why I lost muscle. But what motivates me to like push through is knowing that I once was able to do this, and I want to get back to it again. Like, and then like does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So with that being said, how did the idea for spastic chatter come about? Like, what made you get the idea, and how do you find guests?
I got bored during COVID, and so I created a podcast and named it Spastic Chatter because it's a play on words.
I love it, by the way.
But yeah, yeah, and then I was posting. I've had it for like 5 years now, and I was posting every week when I first started, and then I got overwhelmed, so I went to every month, and then I took a year off, because that's when I went through medicine change and everything, so I wasn't in the mindset to record. Um, and then I recently came back in January of 2025. Uh, guns blazing. It's all it's all. I've had a lot of guests so far, and the way I find guests is that they reach out to me, or I just research. I have a researcher for my job, so this so researching just comes naturally.
Talk. Okay, you said your job. So talk about your job and how your job has helped you advocate for CP and affected you positively in a mental way. How has jobs that helped you get out in the community and do what you do?
Well, I'm a researcher for an organization called Undivided. We provide resources and support for families raising children with disabilities. And like a navigator will meet with the family, and then I research and write the reports that the navigator brings to the family. So
Okay.
it's all different types of disabilities and resources.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, guys, but I forgot to tell you, she's in Texas. So is this for only people in Texas, or is this nationwide?
No, it's actually based in California, so it's for people in California.
Okay, that's cool.
It's,
So how'd you get that job, and how'd it come about?
well, I've I have a bachelor's in rehabilitation services and a master's in special ed. So I kind of used it as a disability studies. So this is not the only job I've had. I've had many many like remote positions and some in person. And I kind of just researched, use Google and the various job websites to search for remote jobs related to disability or whatever I'm looking for.
Okay. So, as someone who's been to college and in the field of helping people with disabilities, what was the most challenging part of overcoming, like going to school and helping other people? What do people think that you can't do that you have to prove them wrong? And what's the story where you really proved someone wrong and didn't let your CP define you in the area of your work and things like that?
Um, that's a loaded question because I may look young, but I'm 34, so I went to school almost or over 10 years ago. But I don't I when you say CP doesn't define me, in a sense it does define me because that's who I am. Take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I can't I can't hide the fact that I have CP. So if you don't embrace me for who I am, then I don't have time. I don't have time for you. And
that,
that's when it comes to work. That's just kind of the mindset that I have. If they don't have time to make accommodations for me or anything like that, then that's not the place for me. You know what I mean?
yeah. Have you found a time when you had to make accommodations and it was challenging, and how did you overcome that?
Um, and it's just having open communication with your employer.
Absolutely. That's a good answer. I like that. So, how long have you been at your job?
The current one is over 2 years.
Okay, what's the number one thing you like about your job?
Um, then I get to help people, and it's remote.
Uh, okay, so what have you learned about yourself through doing that job and helping other people?
You're putting me on the spot, then it's just told like shown me that what I always do about myself is that that I like to think that I'm a caring person, and then I like to advocate for others.
That's awesome. So when you moved into your own apartment, when you left your parents' house and you moved in your own apartment and things like that, and you went to school yourself, how did they take it at first? Were they open to it, or what was it like?
Yeah,
What was it like to get them on board and ready for you to do that? Was it a lot of challenging, a lot of arguing, or a lot of having to prove your point, or were they just like, okay, cool, go and do your own thing?
no, my parents are very like my parents were very like they were very open to it, like because they knew how much it meant to me. Like they don't hold me. My parents don't hold me back whatsoever.
That's awesome. So see, parents don't hold them back just because they have CP. Let them go out and do their own thing. It may be rough, it may be challenging, but they can do it. And Whitney's a good example of that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the interview. You keep doing what you're doing and stay positive. I'm going to put your links to your podcast and everything at the bottom. Is there any links that anything you want to tell the people as we wrap up, or anything you want to say or let them know?
The the meaning of perseverance. I think it I think it's a good testament of my journey. So whenever you're going through some like hard time, just remember to persevere, and then it won't. And then that the tough times won't last.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, thank you for the interview, Whitney. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
No
Bye.
problem. You have a good day.